YouTube channel, TBC Online, and also get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and X pages at TBC Online. Several Tanzanians say they anticipate that the next budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025 will prioritize development issues such as enhancing information and communication technology, ICT, bolstering the value chain of agricultural products, exports, and social services, and educate Tanzanians about taxes so that they will be willing to pay them and help the country raise funds for project implementation. Here are more details.
Thursday this week, the Minister of Finance is to table government's budget for the coming fiscal year of 2024-2025. TBC News camera has roved around different places of Dar es Salaam to have opinions of people to know what they expect from the budget. The acting deputy director of the College of Business Education, CBE, Dr. Nancy Bumramba, say that more than 60% of the next budget will be implemented from the local source. So there's a need for the government to ensure that it comes up with a new source of income.
We as Tanzanian citizens, we wanted to see more effort focused in increasing the revenue collection in forms of tax, and also the diversification of the sources of revenue. And also we would like to see a much emphasis is given in controlling the expenditure. We wanted to see the government resources used properly and according to the budgets. We don't want to see a lot of money being used in luxuries and other things that are not important, but much of them to be focused in the development.
Some of the students from CBE say that the upcoming budget should be dedicated enough funds to youth projects in order to reduce employment challenges.
Concern or my wish to the upcoming budget from the government is that it should prioritize the upper learning needs first. That is to add some money to help sell, and also add money to the diploma students, those who wish to get loan, because some of them might not have enough capital to go to the university or take up their diploma.
And our government should ensure to empower youths and give us the facilities, ensure that when we come here, the graduates, when we go back to straight our homes, we have those proper infrastructure to enable us to employ ourselves. Although we know in our Tanzania, we have the issue of unemployment rate, and due to technological advancement, a lot of jobs are going out of market and the new jobs are coming to market. So government should ensure they invest in the digital marketing.
The upcoming budget of 49.39 trillion shillings for the year 2024-2025 is expected to be tabled in Parliament later this week. Reporting from Dar es Salaam, Rehema Sababili, TBC News.
Let us now remind ourselves of previous budgets. Budget for the fiscal year 2021-2022, 36.3 trillion. And the year 2022-2023, 41.48 trillion, an increase of 14.27%. Year 2023-2024, 44.39 trillion, an increase of 7.1%. The year 2024-2025, 49.34 trillion, an increase of 11.2%. The budget of the Ministry of Agriculture, that was the year 2023-2024, main budget was 970.8 billion. For development, it was 767.8 billion. Normal expenditures, 202.9 billion. For implementation, development was 421.7 billion. Normal expenditures, 100.4 billion, equivalent to 53.8% of the budget. Year 2024-2025, main budget 1.2 trillion. Development budget, 1.03 trillion. Normal expenditures, 215.9 billion. Budgets of various ministries, we can see here, Ministry of Agriculture, 2023-2024, 970.8 billion. The year 2024-2025, 1.2 trillion. Ministry of Health, 2023-2024, 1.2 trillion. The year 2024-2025, 1.3 trillion. The Ministry of Water, we can see here on our chart, is that the year 2023-2024, 756.2 billion. The year 2024-2025, 627.7 billion. The Ministry of Education, we can see here is that the year 2023-2024, 1.67 trillion. The year 2024-2025, 1.9 trillion. To analyze previous budgets and expectations for the coming budget, my colleague Faith Ngaga has interviewed Executive Director of the Agriculture for ANSAF, Honest Mseri.
Mseri, welcome to TBC News.
Thank you very much.
How can the budgetary changes of this year's Minister of Agriculture, how can we ensure that in the implementation of this year's budget trickle down to the small-scale farmers?
Thank you very much. First, I would like to applaud the government, first for increasing the budget to the agriculture sector for a significant amount. We have been crying for a very long time to see more investment into the sector, because this sector actually employs majority of the people in our country. But the challenge also has remained on the side of the disbursement of these funds. We have seen from the last year budget up to April, only 53% of the budget was disbursed actually to go to the sector to support implementation of the development activities. So if you want to ensure that this budget actually trickle down to the smallholder farmers, first and foremost, we have to ensure that we increase the level of the disbursement of the funds. And the second thing is always is about accountability. I applaud the government priorities. You can see that majority of the funds are directed towards development of the irrigation infrastructures, which is really a cry of majority of the farmers. We know that we have the challenge of the climate change, and the impact of the climate change has been more harder to the sides of the smaller farmers compared to other actors along the value chain. So having the budget which really prioritize interventions on areas such as irrigation ensure that majority of the budget goes to the smaller farmers.
And what would you say were the most notable achievements in the implementation of the previous budget, specifically in the Ministry of Agriculture?
There is an achievement in terms of the export earnings. And what is more interesting, actually, the leading crops which bring us more foreign currencies are not the traditional cash crops, the likes of cashew, the likes of coffee. No, are actually the crops which we would not think that they are the ones which will bring us more foreign currencies. And if you look at these crops such as maize, sesame, these are the crops which received subsidized fertilizer, subsidized seeds. So we really see now an impact in terms of the cash flow into the country as well. So that's the second area where we see that there is progress. But one of the another notable, actually, I can count as an achievement is actually seeing that we prioritize making sure that extension officers are equipped so that they can be able to deliver extension services to the farmer. Whether now they're actually delivering that is a story for another day. But actually making sure that these guys are getting perhaps the motorcycles, they are getting the extension kits. This is a good movement by the government. So the distribution of the allocation, this is really where I can say that we see some achievement. But another one is in terms of the food security. We can see that the food security in terms of the food self-sufficiency. Our food self-sufficiency have increased because
the government of Kenya has reduced his financial year's overall budget by 132.46 billion Kenyan shillings, being a reduction of 3.3%. President William Ruto of Kenya revealed that in Nairobi, Kenya, after signing into law the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2024 and the Division of Revenue Bill 2024. Johnson Denge, who is an economist in Kenya, analyzes the meaning of that measure in Kenya's economy.
First impression is to say that the first thing that comes into mind is that Kenya does not have a revenue problem. The challenge has always been how we spend. You realize that if you look critically into the supplementary budget, there's a reduction mainly around mostly in the development budget, and a bit of an increase on the current budget, brought about by the core issue of being reduced revenue. If you look at the whole supplementary budget, two is brought about by the issues of substructural reviews by IMF that occasioned us to have a supplementary budget too, mainly due to low revenues that were experienced in March, from July to March, a 9 months period. The other aspect to look into, and which has been captured in the supplementary budget, is mainly around the need for government to cater for emergency issues that have occasioned between February and this time, being flooding. So need to ensure that the emergencies are catered to, flood victims are resettled, and other issues around emergency. So what does this then give us? It's unfortunate that it's just 1 month remaining. One will argue actually 20 days to the next financial year, but this money is important to government to be able to do some spending. The other aspect will be on it points us to issues that we've always have, which is fiscal deficit, which we were hoping to get it to below 5% in this financial year, as per the Treasury target, but this will come a bit above, maybe closing at about 5.5% to 5.6% against the GDP.
Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has for the first time improved registration system at the Permanent Voters Register by using biometric voters registration kits, BVR kits. Speaking in Dar es Salaam, Chairman of the Commission, Judge Jacob Mwambegele, says the system will enable voters to start updating his or her details or move from one polling station to another by using telephone or computer, and later on visit the new station to receive voters' card.
Imeboresha mfumo wa uandikishaji ambao
it has improved the registration system, which for the first time will enable a voter who is in the register to do the process of updating his information or move to a new station using a phone or a computer, and then visit the station he hopes to do register in order to get his voter card. For people with disabilities, elderly, patients, pregnant women, and mothers with children, they will be allowed to go to the center with them and will be given the opportunity to avoid queuing.
Prime Minister Majaliwa is expected to launch voters' registration update exercise next month in Kigoma region. The Central Bank Governor, Emmanuel Tutuba, has urged micro-lenders to follow regulations and laws when conducting businesses so as to prevent the problem of delinquent loans which damage the economy's reputation. opening a 10-day training in Dar es Salaam for financial service providers, Tutuba says Bank of Tanzania, BOT, will not turn a blind eye to companies and individuals who provide loans without transparency.
Once you are lending at a higher risks, all those risks should be covered to maybe will be covered by other borrowers, because there is any institution that will operate like a charitable institution that will continue dishing out funds without having some benefits. So we have been insisting them to comply with all the rules. That's why we have came up with a guideline which will put in place some good arrangements on how lenders can continue providing their services, but also on the side of borrowers, they will continue complying with the normal arrangements with regards to microfinance service providers.
Some representatives of microfinance say the training program will help them follow procedures needed in the sector, a move that will help reduce unpaid loans.
Important to us also and to them also, like those customers who are taking loan, those people also, they should know that like what are the challenges, like how they will once they take the loan, how they will give us like repayments, like they give back to us. So those are the challenges. Like some people, they are taking loan and then they run away. So those challenges we have to solve like with together, like this program that they are teaching us.
As the providers, we have our rights, and the customers also have their rights. So it's a great joy, but also it is a great joy to know that the level of awareness will be definitely multiplied, because we have about 200 providers here. So somehow the impact will now start to trickle down to the grassroots.
A total of 100 service providers will be empowered by the Central Bank Academy to enable some financial service providers to comply with procedures, regulations, professionalism, and ethics in providing loans to bring stability to the financial market in the country. The Director of Multilateral Cooperation, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, Ambassador Noel Kaganda, is requesting international organizations in the country to support the government's effort, particularly in the health and education sectors. Ambassador Kaganda made the request during the Aga Khan Alumni Reunion program in Dar es Salaam, where he acknowledged initiatives done by the Aga Khan University, school and hospitals in ensuring the well-being of the Tanzanian community.
I commend the Aga Khan for its important interventions which are aimed at developing human capacity through healthcare and education, building resilience of communities to mitigate natural disasters, including those triggered by climate change, but also interventions geared towards generating economic growth.
The secondary international sections with 570 international-minded students, and secondary NECTA has 150 dedicated learners. This diversity enriches our community and fosters a culture of inclusivity and excellence.
The Mzizima School started in 1967, but as the Aga Khan Education Service, we started much later as a board. But education from the Aga Khan Development Network has been here since 1905.
And now it's time for exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Welcome back, and don't miss TBC News every weekday, but up next is international news. International news as compiled by Nyambona Masamba.
The main hospital in Sudanese city of Al-Shafar has been attacked and is now out of service. That is according to Doctors Without Borders. Doctors had to transfer patients after the Rapid Support Forces opened fire inside the hospital on Saturday. The hospital is one of the last remaining operations facilities in Al-Shafar, home to more than 1 million people. Some 130,000 have fled their home there as a result of fighting in a month to Northern Africa. The United States Secretary of State, Anton Blinken, is in Cairo, Egypt, to take part in Gaza ceasefire talk to release the Israeli remain captive. Blinken had a meeting with the Egyptian president, and then he'll be traveling to Israel, where he will meet the Defense Secretary, Prime Minister, and Ben Gantz. Blinken also will meet the Israeli president, and he will go to Jordan for humanitarian aid conference and meeting the Jordanian king and other officials. Blinken also will travel to Qatar, where he will meet the Emir of the monarch and is expected to pressure all parties to agree to a ceasefire. To Europe, political shock waves some election results. In fact, in France, President Emmanuel Macron dissolving the national parliament called on the snap election. He decided to gamble in a new vote in 3 weeks in a nation hosting Olympic Games. The decision comes after his party suffered stunning loss to the far right in European election on Sunday. The decision comes after his party suffered stunning loss to the far right in European election on Sunday. The Revolutionary came first in France, and other right party made a major gain in Germany and Austria. To Korean Peninsula, tensions are escalating between North Korea and South. They are continuing to engage in tough battle across the borders. Seoul is resuming its practice for blasting anti-Pyongyang messages across the border through loudspeakers. This is a response to North Korea sending more than 1,000 trashes and manure-filled balloons towards South. The country said its military has capability to overwhelm, respond to North Korea's provocations. The South Korean Joint Chief of Staff spokesperson said they are following closely monitoring the North Korea's military. He said he is confident that his military can respond. Meanwhile, Kim Jong-un's powerful sister fired a powerful, strong response, which is described provocation. Kim Jong-un says Seoul actions are proved a dangerous situation. The North sees South propaganda a threat to its regime. And results poll in Bulgaria show that the former Prime Minister, Boyko Borisov, says right parties in the lead in the sixth election 3 years. His party was part in power coalition collapsed in March, which triggered the vote. However, still unclear if Boyko can form a government. Third parties and coalition contested for 240 seats of the National Assembly, but the majority of Bulgarians appear to have boycotted the polls.
That was international news. Sports news up next. A member of Simba's advisory committee, Azim Deuji, has advised Simba's leaders, members and fans to stop fighting and instead sit down to talk about their problems in order to avoid a major crisis that may arise and destroy the good success that the club has achieved in recent years in Africa. Deuji said solidarity and unity are very much needed at this time and not conflicts, and advised the leaders to call an emergency meeting to solve their problems instead of fighting, and if there is a leader who wants to resign, then he should do so of his own free will and not resign under pressure to build unity and stability in the club.
It may be true that Simba has leadership challenges, but it is very important to be wise, especially when we have a crisis like this. We need to sit down and discuss ways of solving them. I have heard people telling leaders to resign, but that is not a solution because it may cause more problems in the club. I urge Simba fans and supporters to sit down and discuss good ways of solving this problem so as to rescue the team. Otherwise, the team will be destroyed and no player will be willing to join us.
Simba has finished in third place by goal difference against Azam FC and thus misses the chance to participate in the African Champions League for the 2024 and 2025 season, something that has been brought great controversies from the leaders, members and fans of the club, and sports analysts see that the club may grow into a big crisis if immediate measures are not taken to stop the crisis. Young African's Chief Executive Officer, CEO Andrea Mtine, says his club is ready to support youth development programs done by sports stakeholders as the key way to soccer development in Tanzania. Speaking to TBC News reporter in Dar es Salaam, Young African's CEO Mtine believes that imparting football skills and knowledge at a tender age builds a good foundation, so stakeholders have to continue investing in collaboration with the clubs. Safari Company has prepared soccer festivals to scout youth players for further development. And before we wind up the news bulletin for tonight, let us now take a look at our weather update for the next 24 hours.
Hello and welcome again to the next 24 hours of forecast starting tonight at 9 p.m. From Tanzania Meteorological Authority, my name is Ramadan Omar. Let's start with the windy flow pattern for tomorrow. Windy is expected to blow at 50 kilometers per hour over the intercoastal. Over Lake Victoria and northern part of Lake Tanganyika, wind speed is expected to reach